I hope everybody enjoyed this wonderful dinner tonight. Yay! Give a hand to the kitchen. All right. Woo! And those lovely and wonderful people who've been serving us today. Thank you, thank you. Muchas gracias. Well, I have a very, very special privilege to introduce this evening to Linda Jaramillo, Reverend Linda Jaramillo, who is a member of the Collegium of Officers of the United Church of Christ. Linda, hold it so we can do it well at the end, do it with vigor. And Linda is the executive minister of the Justice and Witness Ministries of the UCC. That means that she is my boss. So I really want a very warm welcome when it gets to it, okay? And perhaps more importantly than all of the above or whatever title Linda has, the most important thing is that she has been an outstanding leader of the Latino churches in the United Church of Christ for many, many years. And for that, muchísimas gracias, Linda, por tu liderazgo. So please, it takes a lot of courage to do that in our churches. So please welcome Reverend Linda Jaramillo, who will introduce our speaker.
Muchas gracias, Mari. Just so you all know that the performance evaluations have already been done this year. So I'll have to write this down for next year. It really is a distinct honor and privilege for me to stand before you to introduce Congressman Emanuel Cleaver, who himself has been a distinguished leader in the life of this country and in the church. Before I say more about him, I know that he'd probably appreciate if I said he and his spouse, Diane, have made Kansas City, Missouri, their home for them and their 4 children, all of their lives, in their adult lives. Now let me say a word about his distinguished career. The congressman was elected to Kansas City, Missouri's he was elected Kansas City, Missouri's first African-American mayor in 1991. After 12 years serving on the city council, the congressman is now serving his 4th term in the U.S. House of Representatives from the Missouri's 5th Congressional District, and was unanimously elected as the 20th chair of the Congressional Black Caucus of the 112th Congress. Not only has Congressman Cleaver served his community and our nation with dignity, he has been a faithful servant of God and the church. While attending St. Paul's School of Theology in Kansas City, the Reverend Cleaver was appointed to a United Methodist congregation of 25 members. Under his leadership of some 35 years, St. James United Methodist Church grew to more than 2,000 members. You see, St. James is a teaching parish, a learning center for several generations of seminary students and young people exploring the call to ministry. Since 2009, Reverend Cleaver has served as the assistant to the bishop for African American leadership development while continuing to serve in Congress. St. James has initiated extraordinary ministries within the community, including 40 Acres and a Mule, a Loaves and Fishes ministry, several community health ministries, discipleship classes, ministries for the incarcerated and their families, a partnership with a local elementary school, and involvement in More Too, a faith-based organization focused on policy change towards social and economic equity. As you can see, the Reverend Cleaver cares deeply about people and about the community. His most ambitious project of his political career was the creation of the Green Impact Zone. Transforming 150 blocks within the declining urban core into an environmentally green space, the greenest piece of urban geography in the world. And just a month ago, the Congressman introduced the EASY Voting Act. EASY standing for Equal Access to Support Youth, which will allow a student to vote in a federal election using their current student photo ID card. In the Congressman's words, and I quote, "I want students to have access to the electorate and be able to easily exercise their civic duty to make their voices heard," end quote. I could go on and on and on, but you don't want to listen to me. We really want to hear from the Congressman. So Reverend Cleaver, child of God, disciple of Jesus, servant of the church and the nation, we are blessed by your presence among us this evening. Let's welcome warmly, in an EAD style, Congressman Emanuel Cleaver II.
Thank you, Ms. Jaramillo, for your very nice introduction. And I appreciate the opportunity to share with like-minded men and women who are committed to acting out the gospel in their everyday lives. And every now and then, we all probably need to know that there are other folk in the vineyard. It sometimes feels, I'm sure, if you're like me, a little lonesome as you are dealing with issues that are important to the poor. Unfortunately, you will not hear, and I'm going to ask you to try to pay attention to this from this day forward, you will not hear the word poor on Capitol Hill. Assume that I made it up. I want you to tune in on television, on the news shows, read the newspapers, and see when you hear the word poor. We are told it is a loser. So don't use the word poor. I wish I were making this up. So you will not hear, there's phraseology that would suggest that there are poor people, but you're not going to hear that particular word. And so it's good to be here with you. I look forward to this opportunity whenever I get it to be around kindred spirits, and because it gives me gasoline, high octane gasoline, to deal with the issues that are in front of me and frankly the Congress. And there are many issues, and I do have one parishioner here, Teresa Dixon from St. James, and I just got back from Kansas City a couple of hours ago. I went to Kansas City Friday night, and ran into her coming in the airport, and then we figured out that we were going to be at the same event as we talked. So I told her pastor that she would not be at church today, who is my son. I also, my landlord is here, but Jim does a fabulous job. When I came in today, I live in the Methodist building, so when you see those out front, you'll see all of the profound and spiritual signs on our marquee. And today, I think it says something like healthcare is a human right, but he changes it up all the time, depending on what's going on. And of course, people are lined up right now, tonight, getting in line for the beginning of the Supreme Court discussion tomorrow morning on health care. So they will be sleeping outside tonight. So we hope that something turns out favorably from that decision. Let me just kind of share with you, and I'll try to do this as quickly as I can. We had my daughter went to a Catholic school, and all the way through, actually, from the first grade all the way through the 12th grade. And so one Sunday, one of the girls wanted to come to her church, and so she brought one of her classmates to church, and it was the first time she had been in a Protestant church, so she was asking my daughter just question after question, what is that, what is that? And so when I stood up to preach, and I took off my watch, and she said, what does that mean? And so my daughter said, absolutely nothing. But I do think that the most significant question in Washington is the question that is not on the congressional table of discussion. It is not a point of interrogation among members of Congress. And the question is this: what constitutes a great nation? I believe that that is the single most significant question facing the Republic. We declare almost daily that we are the world's only superpower. So what does it mean to be a great nation? What constitutes the greatness of a nation? Is it its size? Well, I don't think so. The Roman Empire consisted of all of Europe, all of Asia, all of Africa. When Jesus Christ was born in Bethlehem of Judea, Caesar was sailing the Thames River, inspecting troops. That gives you an idea of the vastness of the Roman Empire. Is it wealth? Well, just about every great empire had extraordinary economic resources. Is it military might? Napoleon, Alexander the Great possessed unrivaled military might. And without a doubt, the United States of America has the size, the military supremacy, and the wealth. The standard of living we enjoy is the envy of the planet. But what makes a great nation? A great nation is made when it uses its blessings to benefit the peoples of the world and the people at home. The thing which propels a nation to greatness are its principles and conviction. A great nation can be mighty without being menacing, tough without being tight-fisted, encouraging self-sufficiency without practicing selfishness, faithful without being fanatical, democratic without demagoguery, racially blended without being bigoted, and physical disciplined without human distress. And as we approach the budget process in Congress, it is important, I think, for us to understand that the budget is more than just a guide for federal spending. It is a moral document. The budget is an X-ray of our inners as a nation, a revelation of our national priorities. You tell me, you give me your checkbook, you let me see how you spend your money, I'll tell you what you believe in. We spend money with what we believe. Our government approved a tax cut just prior to the 9/11 attack, and implausibly another after we went into another war. 2 wars. The first tax cut, $1.35 trillion. The next, $1.7 trillion over 10 years. We represent the only, I can't wait to tell you this. We represent the only nation in history to reduce taxes to go into a war. In history. And that has created many of the problems we have with the deficit today. Our nation is spending $1 billion a week attempting to do to Afghanistan what the British, Macedonians, Greeks, Romans, and Mongolians could not do, and what Russia was destroyed trying to do. The U.S. is paying a terrible economic and political price for what we're doing in Afghanistan and Iraq. And we are spending $100 billion a year maintaining 700 military bases around the globe in 130 countries. $100 billion We talk of pulling out of Iraq and Afghanistan. Let me remind you, since you are too young to remember, we have not pulled out of Japan and Germany yet. So what makes you think, not you, but the other people, that we're going to pull out of Iraq and Afghanistan? Our military spending exceeds the military spending of China, Russia, Japan, India, and the remaining 28 nations of NATO combined. Now, I'm not on the Intelligence Committee, so I only know about 700 military bases. We're told that there may be others. No, I'm serious. That we don't know about and that cannot be made public, since we don't publish the budget of the CIA. Members of Congress as a whole don't know what that budget is. And I can understand many of the reasons why we don't know. But if the number one movement of the budget is for the military, then it says something about who we are. Now, the fourth leading expenditure in the budget is the debt. So make no mistake, we must focus on the debt and the deficit. There's no question about it. We can't continue to spend the way we are. But keep in mind that if we just stopped the Bush tax cuts alone, by 2014, the deficit is reduced to $500 billion. So why would we just give concern to the rich? Think about this. Every millionaire in Congress voted for the tax cuts. Democrats and Republicans. There were 5 Democrats in the Senate. When you get a chance to go home, look it up, see who voted for it. Now, we are a nation that caters to the rich. We can't say poor, but we can say rich. And think about this. My father, who will turn 90 on July 16th in perfect health. I mean, Teresa knows my father. I mean, he's an amazing man. He rides his bicycle about 3 miles every day. But when we were little, growing up in Texas, I don't care how sick my 3 sisters and I became, we didn't want Daddy to know because we had to take castor oil. I don't care what Daddy, I got a splinter. Go get that castor oil, boy. Headache, it didn't matter. And so, but listen to what the country does. Listen to what we do as a country. All right, we're going to war. We need a tax cut. All right, we got many Americans are sick. They don't have health insurance. Need a tax cut. Well, the highways are breaking down. Good. Let's get a tax cut in there. We'll fix that baby. A tax cut is the solution to every problem we have in the United States, and rich people didn't even ask for it. Henry Block, one of my big supporters, been a Republican all his life. He and his brother Richard started a tax company in New York, didn't do well. They moved to Kansas City, started again, H&R Block, and it exploded. Henry called me about a year ago screaming. He said, "What's wrong with this country?" He said, "What's wrong with my political party?" He said, "How dare people stand on the floor of the House of Representatives trying to protect my money?" He said, "I'm rich. I can afford to pay more taxes." And he said, "I don't understand this." And he asked me what should he do. And I asked him to author an op-ed piece, which he did. It appeared in the Kansas City Call. You can Google it, where he told the country it is ridiculous to tell rich people that they don't need to pay more taxes. The sad reality is that the 23 largest hedge funds took home $22 billion last year. And if you made $22,000, your tax rate was higher than theirs because they paid 15% capital gains tax, and you probably paid 27%. There is a fundamental fairness that is no longer discussed on Capitol Hill. And one of the problems is that we have Capitol Hill packed with Christians. You're not walking with me. That's a problem. Everybody declares publicly all the time how Christian they are. Number one, the Sixth Amendment to the Constitution says there shall be no religious test, but we do it. There is a de facto test. I get angry when people start talking about Mitt Romney's religion. I'm not going to vote for him, no matter what. But the man has a right to be able to practice his faith without being penalized politically. We need to have faith without presumption. There was a little boy. He had actually two of them. They were terrors in their church. Terrors. I mean, terrors. I mean, every Sunday school teacher knew about them. The pastor knew about them. Everybody knew about these two boys in the church. And so one of them was skipping church. He was downstairs playing while everybody was in church, and his parents hadn't missed him. One of them was still in the church service. And the pastor is delivering a sermon. And he says, we all must need to deal with the question, where is Jesus? Where is Jesus? Little boy jumped up, ran out of the church, went around to the front door, came through the basement, and told his brother, said, we got to get out of here. And he said, what's happening? He said, Reverend just said that Jesus was missing. I think they think we got him. There are people who believe they have Jesus. He's theirs. And Jesus will not be pimped. Jesus will not. Something is going wrong with us. We fall out crazy over a quarterback who prays when he scores a touchdown, and everybody says, oh, he loves the Lord. Well, if he loved the Lord, he'd read Matthew 6, which said, when you pray, go into a closet and pray to your Father who is in heaven. It's too late. You already invited me. I'm sorry. We need to help lead America away from the precipice, which is where we are. We cannot make any progress legislatively because the level of incivility is almost non-existent. And people always say we need to be more bipartisan. I'm not a big fan of being bipartisan. That just sounds good on TV. If everybody goes to Congress and think alike, one side is unnecessary. We need to have people with two. We need to have two sides so we can, debate an issue. That's not the issue. The issue is this: with the passing of each year, more and more people come to Congress believing that compromise is capitulation, and therefore they don't compromise. That's one reason. The second reason is they believe that God sent them to Congress. I have had, and now let me tell you something about black people. And I just had this discussion with some people on my staff who will say, well, God put Barack Obama in the White House. I mean, it's common all over the country, black people saying that. It is the most awful theology. It is just the most horrible theology they could utter. And when I say to them, okay, so if God put Barack Obama in, who put Bush in? So then God puts in people we like, the devil puts in people we don't like. Horrible, horrible theology. And we cannot allow that kind of thing to continue. It is bad. I'm in our prayer meeting, our Thursday morning prayer meeting, and a woman stands up doing her testimony, and she says, my campaign was going terribly, terribly wrong. And she said, I went to my pastor, and he told me that my opponent was the devil. And she said, and he told me that, if I just hung in there, I'd be all right, and I won. So this woman comes to Congress. She's in Congress now. So if God put her in Congress, it means that the decisions she makes have been baptized by God. If God put Obama in office, then his decisions are being baptized by God. Some of the decisions he's made, I disagree with. I mean, he's not Jesus. Now, his decisions are better than the rest of these people. But we got to get away from that. We got to push that stuff away. It's not healthy for a republic. But there are people in there believing that when they vote, it is the same as God voting. I wish I was making this up. And then you look at the incivility. It is just horrible. It started in about 1994, according to the House historian. And it started when the party out of power were told that they could get in power if they could convince the public that the government was bad. Government is bad. But government is not good. You tell people that members who were elected to the House and moved to Washington had Potomac fever. They could not remain in touch with the people back home. You start attacking the institutions, and what happened? The House flipped for the first time in almost 40 years. it worked. It worked. And good and decent people started believing in things contrary to their whole system. I mean, for example, probably most of you in here probably opposed to earmarks. Most people had not even heard the term earmark until 1994. Why? Because the Constitution says that Congress is supposed to have the power of the purse. And so you hear people, they came out and said, well, you know, the bridge to nowhere. Probably some of you said, I'm against the bridge to nowhere. That's because you've never been anywhere. If you go to Alaska and talk to the people on that island out there, the 50 people who live out there, who needed to be, who wanted to have a bridge so they could get to the mainland, whose only access was the ferry. If your mama and dad and your grandparents lived on that island, it wouldn't be such a nowhere. See, nobody is going to talk like this. And so people say, well, I'm against earmarks. So I wonder why is it every single African American and every single Latino in Congress is for earmarks? It's the only way money is going to be spent in the urban core. And now what people are saying is, I don't want my congressman trying to spend money back here at home. I want some bureaucrats down in the basement of these buildings who've never been west of the Mississippi to make decisions about how we're going to have our tax dollars spent. We had a NSP program, the first Neighborhood Stabilization Program. This was the program designed to stabilize neighborhoods after the beginning of the Great Recession and the avalanche of foreclosures. The first program funded NSP projects all around the country, except there was not a single project in Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, and Iowa. Why? It's flyover country. People know, but they don't know anything about that area. I get upset. People come to me and say, well, how are things in Kansas? And I say, well, you have to ask Dorothy. I live in Missouri. I mean, I get tired of people. How Kansas? And then when I was mayor, I never will forget, I went to my first meeting of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and a mayor comes up to me and he says, now, are you the mayor of Kansas City, Kansas and Kansas City, Missouri? And I said, oh, yeah, just like the mayor of Milwaukee is also the mayor of Tulsa. And so every Friday, all of us get on an airplane. When the last vote occurs, you can tell, if you're anywhere around, you'll see members running down the steps trying to get to the airport. It's one of the worst things going. You know why? Because the only time Republicans and Democrats interact is when we are in debate. It is infinitely easier to be nasty to somebody you don't know, somebody's family who you'll never meet. Before 1994, members of Congress were elected and they moved to Washington, and they lived pretty much on Capitol Hill, so the members would get a chance to know each other's spouse, they knew the children, they were in Little League together, they were in PTAs, and they got along. But all of a sudden, everybody goes home. So there's no interaction at all. People don't know each other. This was a design. And then we have thermonuclear campaigns. And what makes somebody believe that if someone runs a nasty campaign, that they're going to go to Congress and some metamorphosis will occur and they're going to be open and civil? This country rewards nastiness. If I want to be on national television, all I have to do is say something outrageous, call somebody like the president a lie. Joe Wilson called the president a lie, and the people punished him. In 1 week, he raised $2 million for his campaign without asking for it. And so when we condemn Congress, we ought to look in a mirror, because we are inspiring people to be nasty. And they are obliging. I look at these animal shows, I'm obsessed with it. And I don't have a lot of cable channels. I just have I guess the basics. But I do have the Animal Channel. And so I watch it. I watch MSNBC, and I flip over to the animals, see what's going on. And then, but look, here's the thing. There was a special on bees. And I looked at that and I sat there and I thought, man, this is amazing. I learned that bees cannot sting and make honey at the same time. And what is true of bees is true of Congress. And if you elect a stinger to Congress, the chances of legislation coming out is almost non-existent, and nothing comes out. We can't approve a budget. I mean, the Ryan budget is not going to be approved. But the reason it won't is bad, because nothing gets approved. Nothing. It will not be approved, and it's not good. Because we have created a system where nothing moves, and if the president introduces anything, it's not going to go at all. And that's tragic, because I have seen things that I thought I left when I was a child in Texas. I thought I would never hear another member of Congress refer to the president as Sambo. And today you call the president a name, and then the next day you apologize and move on. But when you throw mud to a wall, though it falls to the ground, it still leaves a stain. And so we are all obligated, I think, now to work. One of the things we've got to do is make sure that everybody has a chance to vote. The NAACP went to Geneva 2 weeks ago asking for this is terrible, the United Nations and other world organizations to come into the United States to monitor our elections. There's a wave of voter suppression moving around the country. And in a nation of 300 million people, we had 87 cases that were prosecuted on voter fraud between 2002 and 2005. 87. The largest number of cases of so-called voter fraud relates to registration and ineligibility, two things that are not addressed in all of the voter fraud laws. My father still drives all over the country at age 90, still has his driver's license. How many 90-year-olds do you know with a driver's license? In Texas, my home state, you can vote with your gun license, but you can't vote with your student ID. And that is an insult to the United States of America. The Advancement Project says that 21 million Americans don't have updated state-issued ID. 15% of those earning less than $35,000 a year don't have a valid state ID. 2/3 of new voters in 2008 registered as Democrats. And so, let me tell you why we're having a lot of this. There are 19 new voter laws passed in 14 states, which represents 63% of the 270 electoral votes needed to put a president in office. Let me do it one more time. 19 new laws on the books in 14 states, which represents 63% of the 270 electoral votes. If you want to know why we are dealing with voter laws, it's already illegal to commit fraud. I mean, so I guess when they pass a law, they're saying it's really against the law. Right now, the federal penalty for voter fraud is 5 years in Leavenworth. Right now, all over the country and the territories. So what's going on? Well, my great-grandpa, Reverend Noah Albert Cleaver, lived to be 103, never voted. He lived long enough to, on his 100th birthday, he held my twins' boys on his knee and recited Waterloo, never voted. He refused to pay the $2.50 poll tax in Texas. Today, a birth certificate in Texas costs $22, the new cost of a poll tax. We are better than this. The United States is a better nation than what we are presenting. We cannot allow this nation to crumble. And it crumbles because of a lot of silence from good people. If a person cannot become indignant over foul play or the fiendish treatment of others, that person does not likely possess the power or commitment to get excited over good. And so I believe that you are desperately needed because we have a lot of people who go out and work against themselves and vote against themselves every single day. a town hall meeting in a place called Lee's Summit, and I had to have police, sheriffs, everybody there to protect me. We had a crowd of about 400 people. After it was over, a man walks up to me with no teeth, saying, this health care is terrible. He couldn't even speak, couldn't even talk. And he's fighting what could help him get teeth. It is a sad moment when we have people going against them, voting against themselves. You will not see any rich people, wealthy people out saying, we want a tax cut. They don't have to. The poor folk are out doing it. Now, I'm serious. You will not see the march of the wealthy. They are not going to do it. They don't have to. They understand what I learned. There was a movie, came out in 1963. I saw it about 3 months ago. Old black and white movie called The Leopard, starring Burt Lancaster. It's a fabulous movie. Toward the end of the movie, was filmed in Sicily, and so Burt Lancaster is actually supposed to be Sicilian or Italian, and he represents the aristocracy, and so they're all in this room with all of the plushness that you could have, and somebody goes over to the window and he looks out and he sees people in the street and they are angry, and so he goes over and says, the people down there, and they're gathering together, they want to kill us. And the response was, no, they don't want to kill us. They want to be us. And that's what's going on in America. We have people who are vicariously living through the rich, who are willing to keep them poor. And the one thing that we can do is offer information, to talk, to let people know when things have gone awry. And why? Let me tell you this, and I'm finished. We have a we passed offering plate. I was trying to figure out how to say it differently, but we passed the offering plate at our church. So one Sunday after church, as Teresa will tell you, all of the kids is piled in my office because I spent probably maybe $500 every year buying donuts and rolls and cookies and everything for the kids. They all come in, they're all over me. I'm sitting down and they, Rev this, Rev. So I'm sitting in my office, a kid comes in and he says, Rev, how much did you get today? And I said, excuse me? And I said, you don't talk about salary. He said, no, Reverend. How much did you get today? And I said, well, what are you talking about? And he said, when they pass that plate around, he said, I got 10 today out of it. And he said, I just want to know how much you got. And I said, so I recaptured the 10. But when I left church going home, I thought about it. I said, this little boy got something going. Because what religion is worth anything if you don't get something out of it? And if we are true believers, if we embrace the teachings of the man we know as Jesus the Christ. It means we ought to get something out of that relationship that would allow us to stand up for people who are hungry. It would require for us to speak out against those who would push people who are poor down into the murk and mire and have them ignored. If we believe in Jesus Christ and connect ourselves to him, it means we ought to get something out of every commitment we have to Jesus Christ. We can change the world. Jesus changed the world. We ought to be little game changers if we embrace Jesus Christ. He is our Lord and Savior. We are somebody special. We are not just some little people standing around. We are the children of Jesus the Christ. We are the kids of Christ Jesus. And I'll never shut up. I'll never stop talking. I'll not shut up. I'll not move up until I get ready to make sure everybody is up. And now I'm through.